Welcome to God's Way, YTVY. I'm Adolphina, Shephard. This is my co-host, Thomas Knight's Templar.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our show.
We have a couple fabulous guests here that you may have seen before, and we're going to have a fabulous roundtable about hauntings just in time for Halloween. Halloween. I wanted these guys to get dressed in costumes,
Absolutely
but everybody
not.
said no.
Listen, I'm questing almost 7 decades. I'm not wearing a costume. This is my costume, Padre Pio. You see me? Now you know who I am. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, let's start with Mary and just introduce yourself a little bit. And then we'll go over to our next guest.
All right. I'm Mary Silvernail. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and a psychic, esoteric astrologer, and a lot of other things, including a holy fire Karuna Reiki master and shaman.
And third-degree black belt.
Yeah.
I just think I throw that one
Oh,
out.
you're funny.
That's okay. Okay.
Better watch it with the black belt.
My mother used to hit me with the black belt, and she meant it. Go
And
ahead,
our other
Chris.
guest, Chris George.
Yes, I'm psychic medium Chris George. I'm a trance medium, space clearer. I mean, some people call it exorcist. I'm a little bit of everything.
Well, we're going to be talking about all kind of things tonight, but I'd like to start with you because I'm interested in the Lizzie Borden's house, the haunting of the Lizzie Borden's house, what you came up with there. And I'm sure we all have a good haunting story to tell.
I actually think you're going to be surprised because I used to be the lead investigator for the Maury Povich show. Okay, I know a lot of people make a joke about that, but I did a lot for that show. I've been all over. I've been to Waverly Sanitarium, which is a tuberculosis hospital from in Louisville, Kentucky. Over 66,000 people died there. I did the investigation there. I've been to Eastern State Penitentiary. I've been to Lizzie Borden's house. So you want to talk about Lizzie Borden?
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
That was the least haunted out of all of them.
Really?
Yeah, I was really disappointed. I actually got to sleep in the room where the parents were chopped up.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
And
my goodness.
I think
Gruesome.
you're going to be really surprised when I say I had a very peaceful night's sleep.
Okay.
Very little that we pick up from there. I know, people think Lizzie Borden, she
Yeah.
chopped up her parents and all that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, her spirit was afraid of you.
yeah, well, I don't
That's
know
what it
what it was, but I was expecting so much more and nothing. But then when you go to, if you want to talk about like real haunting,
Yeah.
Waverly Sanitarium. So for those of you who don't know about it, like I said, it's a tuberculosis hospital. It's been shut
Yeah.
down for many years, and I believe it's over 66,000 people died there. They had a tunnel called the Death Tunnel, all right? And what it was it was a slope and went all the way down into the basement. And they had so many people dying of tuberculosis that they had no beds for these people. So the people that were close to dying, they were not dead. They would put them in this basket and let them roll down. They would dump them out and let them die down there.
Oh, how
True
awful.
story. You can Google it. You can look it up.
Oh, that's
So
horrible.
when I went there,
Wow.
I didn't know that.
yes, oh yeah, look it up. It's one of the most haunted places in
And
the
when
world.
was that? Like around what period of
Had to
time
be
were
in the
they doing that?
1920s, 30s.
Yeah, many years. I don't know the
Oh.
exact
When
dates, but
tuberculosis
it's been
was
close to-
uncurable at
it's
that
been
time.
abandoned for many years. Okay.
Okay.
So
Wow.
when I went there with the show, it was me, my brother-in-law, who was my lead investigator, and just one cameraman. My brother-in-law had a little lamp on his head, okay, and the cameraman had his infrared camera. Everything else was black. So they wanted us to go to the morgue. We go to the morgue, and all it is a big room with a bunch of drawers where they used to put the bodies in. Okay,
Yeah.
I say, you know what? I want to lay in one of those drawers, and I want to channel the spirit. I lay in there. I actually start channeling the spirit. The cameraman true story, cameraman got so scared, he ran and left us.
Oh, my God.
So here I am in a channel state, starting to channel the spirit. My brother-in-law is there by himself with just a little light on his
Gee.
head. And so that never aired because the guy ran out of the room, okay? That place was extremely haunted. Eastern State Penitentiary, I would say the best part about that was that's where Al Capone died.
Yeah.
And we actually went in his cell. And in his cell, he had a desk, he had a couch. It wasn't like the other cells.
Of course.
All right? So before we went there, I'm a big cigar smoker, as you know.
You should have
Tom.
left them a cigar and a stick of scotch.
Well, what happened was I forgot the cigar. So we stopped at a bodega. I bought a Philly blunt. All right? cost me $1.10.
No wonder why he's haunting you.
Yeah, well, we go into his cell. I put the cigar down, and we're doing EVP recordings. EVP recordings is recordings that you get on a digital recorder.
digital recording, yeah.
So we say, Al Capone, do you know where Chris left you? And on the thing, and it's on the Maury Povich show, you can find it on YouTube, he says, yes, he's cheap. Al Capone actually told me cheap
I love it,
on the
Chris.
recorder.
I love it.
It was awesome. I was so embarrassed. I was really embarrassed.
Yeah, why? Because he said you were cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I said, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
but
forgot.
that's
I forgot your cigar.
confirmation.
All you got to do is go back there now, bring up a better cigar, say, make more money.
Yeah.
Here you go,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like when you were at the sanitarium and you were laying in that drawer,
That wouldn't have been me.
I know. We were talking about that,
That
right?
would not be me. You
That's
can't-
You
kinda
actually
creepy,
let
really.
the spirit enter into your body.
Absolutely. I'm a
didn't you?
trance channel. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I do a seance, the spirit is coming through me and speaking through me.
Mm-hmm.
I actually pick up their mannerisms, some of their accents. I've spoken different languages before. So I smoke cigars. Everyone knows I smoke cigars. I don't know how to inhale. I've never smoked cigarettes in my life. I've never smoked pot in my life. I can't inhale. When I've done seances where I haven't just inhaled, but I've actually blown smoke rings. I have no idea how to do that, but I've done it
I can do
while
it.
I was channeling.
Yeah. So, though, that kind of, God bless you that you do
It's
that.
not for
And I'm
everybody.
telling
He
you,
does it.
God bless you, seriously, because when I do a reading, okay, and I'm connecting with the other side, I'm just giving the information, but they're over there. I don't let them enter.
That's also a form of channeling.
Yeah.
It's just I do that too when I do my reading. That's what I do.
Right, so
I
you don't normally.
No. When I'm doing
Oh,
a reading,
okay.
I don't
'Cause-
just let spirit come through me and I don't do that. I get the messages from them.
Okay.
That's the mediumship part of it.
Yeah.
But trance channeling is completely different.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
when you actually allow the spirits to come in.
Like Whoopi Goldberg and
Like,
Ghosts.
and
Right.
here's the
Right.
truth. People laugh about Whoopi Goldberg and Oda Mae, the whole,
Oda Mae
that they
Brown.
had the whole like lineup waiting to jump in her. The truth is, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's very much
There
like
is
that.
a lineup
There is a
because
lineup.
in my readings, once I connect with one, they're all lined up.
Yeah.
All of them.
Well,
they
as-
look for
yes,
it, like
as-
that opening.
As a trance channel, though, here's the interesting thing.
So go ahead. What happens
The
with you?
thing with trance channeling is if there's like 3 or 4 spirits here,
yeah.
the strongest spirit's coming through first. Whether I want the weakest spirit to come through first or not, it don't work that way.
They push
Yeah,
him
but
out
then
of
they
the
have
way.
the exchange.
It is an exchange.
I
They
find this
have the power.
extremely interesting.
See, as a trance channel, you have to have. There has to be mutual respect between the spirits, between the spirit and the
Yeah.
vessel. Me, I'm
Yeah.
the vessel. So, even though I want one spirit to come through, if the strongest spirit wants to come through at that moment, he's going to come through,
Yeah.
and I'm going to let him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell him no, you can't.
But then
because
do they take turns
they
coming
take turns.
in?
I've
Oh,
done
my God.
seances that have gone like 3 hours before, where I've channeled like 15 to 20 spirits
In and out.
in and out. And then I've done seances where I've been in trance for 2 hours and I've channeled 3 spirits. So just
They had a
depends.
lot to say.
They had a lot to say.
So and that I really wanted to understand that what he was doing there with that.
He does that real
because
spooky stuff.
it just
The trance channeling thing, what's interesting about the
don't do
trance
that.
channeling is I don't remember anything.
no. I
Right.
never remember anything from any
People
reading.
ask me where I go. The truth is I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm out there somewhere. I don't know where. I just know that I don't know what I'm doing. That's why a lot of times I'll videotape it. People let me know afterwards what I've said, what I've done, because I don't remember.
Yeah.
And here's the other interesting part. Like if I was to do like a healing circle where I start channeling spirit, the interesting thing about that is it's almost like I'm outside my body looking at myself, and I actually know what's going on. And I don't know why it's different, but it just is. The healing circle is very different.
It's you being out of your body, looking at your body, talking
and
to you.
it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing. I'll tell you something. There's a lot of videos of me on YouTube where I'm doing like spirit removal and I have spirit in me, and I don't watch them. I don't watch myself when I channel because it's very disturbing to me.
I can understand
You
I
that.
don't like to
think?
see myself.
No, I could
like,
understand that, and usually
People
you're
love
not.
it, but I don't.
But usually you're not alone. I remember you saying,
Never.
right?
Yeah, you
that
gotta-
I'll
you
his
gotta-
never
mother-in-law-
do something like that alone.
No,
I always
my
have
And you
God.
shouldn't. And you
yeah,
shouldn't.
you
I
gotta-
actually
Nobody
know
should.
2 other trance channels, and I know of a woman who was just getting into like Reiki, and she wanted to allow that. And I'm like, and my friend was asking me,
What
do
do
you
you
think
mean?
that's right? And I says, I think that she's too inexperienced to be calling spirits
I
into
think-
her body.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy,
anyway,
here we
it-
go.
Yeah.
It's right for him because he was trained
Oh, I'm
by...
not saying
No,
it's
he was
not.
trained by spirit.
Yes.
So he has his own protection.
Yeah.
But somebody who just voluntarily, I'm going to let something into me, you know what?
That's not smart. And
No.
especially, what are you telling me that she was practicing Reiki and doing that?
Yeah,
And then
she
transfer
was
into other
having, like,
people.
That's
getting
unacceptable.
training in psychicness and stuff. But it's very foolish because it could be possession if she don't know how to handle it. You know what I
right.
mean?
Can I bring
Right?
something up?
Sure.
Years ago, there's a house, on Richmond Avenue, the Pastoses.
Yeah.
Behind there, there's
I know the house, but it's Scalia.
yes, okay. So behind that, there's a house, okay? Very haunted. I went there to go do a clearing. The guy there, he was a nice guy. Spirit was absolutely torturing him.
Okay.
So we were going to go and do the space clearing the next day. All right, I was gonna have my whole team go there. What people would consider an exorcism, I call it a spirit removal.
Right.
I'll never forget. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning. I was in Manhattan setting up my guys. I had vendors that worked out in Manhattan for me. He calls me and he says, I can't take it no more. I'm going to do what you do. I'm going to invite the spirit in me. I said,
no,
listen,
no.
I said, you're a moron. You cannot do this. You're going to get possessed. You can't do this.
Right.
He goes, you're coming tonight. I'm going to be okay. And he hangs up the phone on me.
Oh, God.
I'm like, and now I'm in Manhattan. He's in Staten Island. I'm thinking, I can't, I'm working. So, long story short, it's about 7 o'clock. We're on our way to his house in Staten Island. I lived in Brooklyn at the time. I get there. Now, my spirit guide is a guy named Edward Pace, and he's a Southerner, and he talks with a Southern accent. When I channel him, I talk very Southern. Now, he doesn't know this. I get there, and he says, he comes to the door in his Fruit of the Loom underwear and nothing else.
Yikes.
His hair all crazy. His wife comes to the door with him. She's like, he's crazy. He's talking like he's from the South. I don't know what to do. And he goes, I don't know why, but I feel good today. And I'm like, I looked at my team. My sister was with me. She goes, is that Edward Pace? I said, yeah, I think so. My spirit guide, to protect him,
Yep.
possessed him for the day. He spoke like with a Southern accent the whole day, driving his wife crazy until I got there to actually do the job.
Oh, God.
How crazy is that?
That's good, right?
Yeah. Well, when I would sit with one of my friends who is a trance channel, and I could feel when she would. Usually, Jesus always comes through and talks to me, but others do too. But I can feel when they come in. When it comes into a person. So it was always very interesting to me, to see that. But there's just so many things too, and you're talking about space clearings, right? Because that also is a form. It's not a haunting necessarily, but
It's a cleansing.
it's a
It's
cleansing.
absolutely
It's a
cleansing.
cleansing. It's a
But I mean,
cleansing.
people will get scared because things will happen.
Because
Things will move
sometimes
around
things
the house
happen,
and this
you
and
know.
that, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So I have a technique that I've used for years, and what I do when I do a
Scream and
space
run?
clearing, no, I don't scream and run. You know me, I pull out my sword. But I call the bubble of the Holy Spirit down, and literally the first time, especially that they actually, it feels like it has boulders in it, and it lifts it up ever so slowly the first time. And I've had psychic people whose houses I've cleared, and when they look back, they can see the house is kind of floating off the ground. So that's pretty cool, and that works. Everybody has a
There's-
different
everyone-
way.
Everyone has
does
a
it
different way.
different.
There's so many techniques,
Yeah.
and they work.
Listen,
Yes.
when
Yeah.
I walk into all these houses on this island, I'm in thousands of houses on this island and in Brooklyn, and the older the worse it is, especially some of them down in South Brooklyn. Ooh, I'm telling you, I close it off on the outside of the house before I go in there, and they know they're there.
Right.
Feel it, We're on down by the Park Hills, doing an inspection on a house. I'm upstairs, and we have to go and check the attic, make sure the roof is not leaking, all that stuff. I go up there, the kid was with me, Pete. As soon as we walk in, he opened the door, and it was like that door hasn't been open for like 100 years.
Yeah, we went to the
It
creek.
was like the air was like bad.
Right.
Went up there, I'm looking at the plywood and everything, make sure everything's all right. All of a sudden, my throat just closed up.
Closed.
It was choking me. I looked at Pete. I'm going like this. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. So it's like those houses in Chicago. You go to the back of the house. You go down this winding staircase that comes like this, all the way down. It got to the ground floor. Went outside, trying to catch my breath, and tossed my cookies. All right.
No, that was a bad spirit.
Well, it wasn't a good one.
Yeah,
You know?
that was a bad spirit.
I'll tell you, that's why from that day, I always close that before I go into these places. I don't want to be around that stuff. You know, on this island, there's a lot of Civil War, a lot of Native American.
Yes.
I mean, people, you died, and they just buried you right where you were. Every spot on this island has something planted under it.
Absolutely.
You know, there's more spirit activity here, and the more closer you get to streams and things, the worse it is.
It intensifies.
Oh.
Well, do you remember that time someone, a friend of mine from the Carolinas called?
Yeah.
I think this is going a couple of years ago now, right?
That was the possession of the kid, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
no, she wasn't being possessed, but she could see them. The land was cursed or
yeah.
had spells on it, and we worked together and cleared that off. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So yeah, see, that was a total. I don't know what it had Indian ground or something.
It was an
wasn't
Indian
it?
burial ground. Who
Yeah,
the heck goes and
Indian
puts a
burial
trailer
ground.
park
Yeah.
on top of an
I
Indian
find-
burial ground?
Right.
I find when you're dealing with Native American land, it's best to use shamanic techniques to clear it because that's what they know. That's what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I always like to direct my healing to where it needs to go. Like anything Native American, I always do shamanic rituals. Stuff with smoke, and, you know.
I give it to her.
Yeah.
I give it to her.
Yeah, because what someone would consider an exorcism, I do an extraction and it's shamanism. There's a way, and I just take them out, what the possession is, really the attachment. I don't touch anybody that has a possession. I shouldn't even say that word. Anyone that has an attachment. And then I just draw that spirit into this really beautiful crystal I have. And then later on, I do a fire ceremony.
You release them.
And release it.
Well, you
And
know what
that's
I
it.
find? I find a lot of times the
Just like that.
attachments are a little bit more difficult to release than the actual possessions. Because a lot of the possessions, believe it or not, they're not as strong as some of the attachments. I mean, have you found that?
Attachments are
They
very
could- they
difficult.
could be very
I mean, if
difficult.
I ever went into it, isn't just that I'm just putting a crystal. There's a whole ceremony that I do ahead of time. I mean, a physical ceremony that goes on. And then, but the end result is ultimately that I extract this spirit into the crystal and then release
You know
What
what?
about
I had a
physical?
radio show for many years on UPRN and
Yeah.
DTM Wicked Radio. You know, I had over 2 million listeners. I had a huge show.
Yeah.
And I actually had a priest tell me, and I'll never forget it.
What?
We were doing a show on exorcism.
Yeah.
And a priest came on, and who has not done an exorcism.
Oh, has
And-
not?
Right. And he was
Because-
giving me the business because I was saying that this is what I do.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, okay, you want to call it a spirit removal? We'll call it a spirit removal.
A spiritectomy.
Right. What I told him was, you know, because psychics have always told me, mediums, you shouldn't do it the way you do it. It's dangerous. And it is. I bring the spirit into me. I know it's dangerous, but I've been doing it for, 20 years. I know what I'm doing. I've done 103 of them, okay? All over the world. And I had the priest told me, what I told him, I said, what you do is a Band-Aid. What I do is actual surgery. And the priest told me to go and F myself on radio. A priest from California. And hung up the
Really?
phone on me. And my co-host said to me, he goes, did that priest just tell you to go F yourself? I said, yes, he certainly did.
my
They
God.
do exorcisms.
So
Yes.
Christian
And
of
they-
him, wasn't it?
They
But
try
it's
to say they
different.
don't, but they
No,
do,
they
and I
absolutely do. It
know
has to
it.
be sanctioned by the Vatican. And what they do, the way they do an exorcism, might have worked 100 years ago, but
Right.
evil has gotten worse over
You're
the years.
right, what you're
You know,
saying.
The power of Christ compels you.
What worked
No?
100 years ago, things progress. And there have to be other techniques. That's not the only technique. And so many times I've gone into a place where a priest has been, and they help and they put that little Band-Aid on and whatever.
It's still there.
And then I go in and I do what I do, and you want to talk about an extraction, that's what it is.
What about the attachments to items?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have haunted items in my house.
No, not me.
I love them. No.
The only haunted thing in my house is me, and I'm not staying there either.
No, I love the haunted items. I don't got nothing bad, but I have plenty of haunted items.
Can I tell you guys, years ago, okay, we're going 2 houses ago, my husband and I, when the kids were small, no, seriously, I don't think I ever told you this. I don't know. Okay. I don't think I ever shared this with you. I bought a house that had a spirit in it. I didn't even know it, okay, but we should have known because the man that we bought it from, this is like 35 years ago, okay, the man we bought it from, he was going to be moving like 2 blocks away. And a beautiful home, but he said, he said, I'll sell you this house as long as I can come back and see my father every so often. And so, okay, I think he's just, the spirit of his father is in there and everything. Oh, believe me, it was more than that. I sold that house 2 years later. I'm telling you, I really did. I mean, we have pictures of my son as a little boy, Daniel, walking down the steps with the oh my God. And then at night, especially Daniel, but also Kelly had seen, somebody opening the cabinet, and and these are little kids. They're not going to make up this stuff. At least they have an understanding mother
that understands this stuff.
But can I tell you why this was bad? Let me tell you what. And the guy used to come and visit his phone. I'm not kidding you. I'm telling you the truth, okay?
Wow.
It was in Milltown. Anyway, but why it was bad is because my mother, we bought that particular house like a mother-daughter. It was a split level. It was nice and big. And that was after my father had passed away. My mother, from that, whatever that was in that house of his father, whatever, it was like making her wacky. I feel bad saying this. It was making her. Yeah, we had to sell the house and move. Because it was making my mother. Yeah.
But like I said, you recognize that.
I'm telling you.
But your family didn't impede you from growing spiritually. Spiritually, yeah.
Oh no.
See, in my house, that house, I'm telling you, it had stuff going on in there. It just did. You would come up the stairs from downstairs, and then there's like an opening to come in the middle bedroom. And there was a little quarter wall, and had these like poles in there, like dowel sticks, they look like.
Yeah.
And they used to torment me from there, like behind a thing like this. And I would see them, and I'd tell my mother. And my mother would say to me, close your eyes, they go away. Close your eyes, they go away? Are you kidding? This is what she used to tell me. So you had mentoring, I had torturing.
Yeah, but I tried to tell my mother about this, and she wouldn't let, because what was happening was I was watching this. This was like a possession going on with my mother.
Oh, geez.
That's why I'm telling you. We just sold that house, and
let the door hit you in the backside.
Yeah.
Get out of there.
When I was a kid, I used to live on Main Avenue here on Staten Island. Okay, right around the corner from Bradley, St. Peter's Church. And I started seeing spirit. And she told me her name was Heather, and this is like when I was like 10 years old, okay? 10 years old is when this first started for me. And my family was, my sister, my brother, they were terrified. My youngest sister wasn't born yet. And so what they did was they called Monsignor Andrew from St. Rita's Hospital, and he says, hello, this is, my father said his name, and the Monsignor said, is this 230? Well, I'm not going to say the number. Main Avenue? Yeah. And my father says, yeah, how did you know? He goes, I'll be there at 12 o'clock.
He must have known something.
He must have known. He comes to my house. There's a whole house prayer and everything. Walks into my room. He goes, this is where the spirit is, isn't it? It was my room. It's where I saw her. Yeah. And he told my father, he goes, you have nothing to worry about. It's a good spirit, and it'll never hurt your family. From that point on is when I started to get like all the psychic stuff. It's when spirits started coming to me, and that house was so haunted, but nothing bad.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
that's-
yeah.
that's
there's-
fine, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
you know,
people
yeah.
hear haunted and they're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's terrible.
No.
It's not
When
always
I
bad.
lived in Edison before
And a lot
I
of them
lived
lay dormant
in
for
where
a
I
lot
live
of
now.
Oh yeah, sometimes you
Yeah,
know.
there was a lot of spirits.
Renovations.
Yeah.
Do you
And
renovations?
they
and
were
shit?
all good, you know, so I left them alone. I didn't, you know.
Hey,
they're-
well, you just said
they're big.
renovations, and that's a
Yeah.
big thing. What people need to understand is a lot of times paranormal activity will ramp up when you're doing renovations in the house.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
spirits don't like it. Spirits don't like renovation.
Because
That's
they-
when they come up, and that's when they let you know that they're there. That's when you'll feel the tap.
Or they could
you know,
start throwing things.
whatever.
Okay,
That's-
because
well,
I
that's
know
called-
somebody
that's
that
called
happened
poltergeist.
to.
Anything
Yeah.
that's moving and noisy, that's called poltergeist, like the movie Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Hecklers, because they
I-
know you're a Met fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I made a note to mention that about the Poltergeist movie. Now, that was a really bad haunting, right?
Carolyn.
I know, and The Shining.
Carolyn,
Oh, my
no,
God.
I-
That's right. I
Yeah,
forgot that.
you
But
forgot.
Poltergeist, listen, the movie
sorry.
is
That
obviously
Caroline.
a scary
Caroline.
movie.
Some
Yeah.
other
But
one.
what poltergeist means is basically a noisy spirit. It's a German word that means noisy spirit. So you hear taps, footsteps, you see something out of the corner of your eye. That's all poltergeist activity. It doesn't have to be demonic like it was in the movie.
Right,
Exactly.
right,
I
exactly,
never
yeah.
forgot
Oh, I
Yeah, but
know
then
some of
again, they
that
built
stuff,
houses
yeah.
on a cemetery. They didn't even move the bodies.
Right.
You know, so
Well, you know, and The Shining was another scary movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
When he
my
comes
God.
with-
From
when
the
he-
Stanley Hotel. I actually did a lecture there.
Did you now?
The Stanley Hotel in Colorado. Colorado.
what'd you do on Ridgecrest? We were talking about that before.
Oh, so, that was pretty. That was years ago. So there's a woman who lives there. She has a lot of money. She has a house up in Cape May, and very
Cape May, nice.
well-to-do family. And one of my mentors, her name is Barbara. She says, "Chris," she goes, "I can't do this. It scares me. You know, you have to go there." She said that she has like 200 dolls in the house, and her daughter saw one of the dolls' faces
dolls.
in her face when she opened her eyes,
Oh.
and they're terrified. So I said, "Okay." So I go there, and there are literally like $200 everywhere.
That's
I hate
kind of
them
creepy,
things.
really.
I hate them things. I got
So-
them in my
I know.
china
Now,
closet.
here's the
you
crazy
do?
part.
Yeah, I hate them.
So the daughter is the one who's seen it. The daughter had no dolls in her room. Okay? A lot of the other rooms did. When I was in the mother's room, I said, that doll is possessed right there. That doll has spirit in it. I picked up the doll, and I didn't show it to her. I said, I want to show you a doll. You let me know if this is the face you saw. And I showed it to her. She goes, and she started screaming, the kid. She goes, that's the one who I saw when I opened my eyes.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I was supposed to actually do the space clearing there, and the mother decided to sell the house, and I never got to do it. I wish I would have, but yeah, there was a doll's face that actually showed up in her daughter's face, and I picked out
I
the right
hate
doll.
them.
Just like
out of
that
200.
movie Chucky.
Yeah.
Chucky, that movie.
Chucky,
right?
yeah.
Chucky. That movie Chucky.
I hate them
Adolphina,
dolls.
yeah,
I used to have a
Chucky.
client, and I used to call it the Harlequin room, because all those dolls looked like they were from like the 30s and stuff, and they had the little curl banana. Who the hell wears banana curls? You know. And I'm looking at this thing, and all them eyes. I swear they follow you where you go.
I want to say I have about maybe 6 haunted dolls in my house right now.
I'd give a couple of them home. I don't like them anyway.
People, you know who buys them? Paranormal investigators, because they like to do their EVPs and try to get them to talk on the recorders and stuff like that. But people love the haunted items. I have
Yeah.
plenty of them.
Yeah, but
What that guy?
know.
What the heck was his name? He had
The show?
the Warrens.
Oh yeah, well I
They
did
have
help-
they had that doll from what's the name of that thing? That movie, The Conjuring, or something.
Yeah,
like that?
Annabelle. So, interesting story about the Warrens. So, Lorraine Warren, I did her last interview ever. Okay? It wasn't aired. So I had my big radio show at the time, and everybody said, I want you to interview Lorraine.
Yeah.
She was very sick at the time.
Yeah, my friend
Right,
Dave
so
met her at that time too.
I get in touch with her. She says, and she knew who I was. She loved my show, which made me very proud. And Lorraine Warren listening to my show. So she said, I'll give you an interview, but it's got to be between you and I. She kept me on the phone for 2.5 hours. Lorraine Warren was an amazing woman.
Yeah.
An amazing woman.
I think you mentioned her before in another show.
The one I mentioned in the last show was Andrea Perron, the woman
Yeah.
from The Conjuring.
The Conjuring,
So
yeah.
she actually lived in the house. She wrote the book House of Darkness, House of Light. Okay, that's the story of The Conjuring. And Andrea Perron, the author, was the Andrea from the house, the young kid. So I got to I actually interviewed her, I think 2 times, or maybe 3 times, and she actually told the real story of The Conjuring. A lot of what you see in the movie is very Hollywood. There were things even more terrifying that happened to them in real life than they even showed in the movie. But she said a lot of the movie was Hollywooded up, but it was pretty accurate. It was pretty accurate.
Well, actually, I think probably all of us have had spirits in our house. And I'll tell you, the first time I saw a spirit, because this, it was when I had moved out on my own, and I'm sitting there one day, and I suddenly, out of nowhere, I think it's funny, even to this day, I saw what you would consider a ghost, white, but in the shape of a man, and he had on a red felt cowboy Phillies hat, and he's walking around, and I'm like, okay. So I named him Murphy because things were always happening, and from Murphy, when things happen, you don't have any explanation of it. So I named him Murphy, Murphy's Law, right? And it just so happens I brought one of my older books to show you, because the first time I captured it in a picture, it looked kind of like this. I'm going to show you. I don't know if you can see it real good, but can you see that? That was
Sure, show it to him. What the heck are we doing here?
Yeah, no, I'm going to show it to all of you. But
look,
you see, and so I was
Nice
taking
picture
a
of the
picture.
fence.
Yeah, I was taking a picture of Christmas lights. I don't know if you can catch that on camera, but anyway, you see the great big white orb right here, over here. Wait a minute, over there. You
were
see?
close. It's on the same page.
And anyway, so and I named that one Nino, and he was always around. So these things just happen, but we're more tuned in than the average person. You know what I mean?
I tell you, you're going to all those old houses that I do, especially like that down in Brooklyn. Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
bad
lot of those
Bad
Brooklyn
stuff.
and Queens houses, there's a lot going on there. I have a mentor. Some of you might know her. She's a world-famous psychic. Her name is, Jesus Christ, I can't think of her name.
Jesus Christ, how about that? He
Joyce-
knows him.
Joyce Keller, okay?
Yeah, I heard that.
All right, she's one of the greatest psychics in the world. She actually is in the book 100 Greatest Psychics in the World. She gave all the top psychics in the world basically their start on her radio show back in the day. She's an amazing woman. And I forgot where I was going with this.
I don't know.
Call Jesus now.
Now you call
mentioned him.
Jesus.
Yeah. I can't believe I forgot where I was going with the story.
You were witnessing.
back to
You were witnessing a vapor lock.
Vapor
That's what you're witnessing, commonly known as a brain fart. Anyway, it happens.
I know where I was going with it.
Now he
It's
knows.
to me
So
every day.
during 9/11, she had a house, right there, down by
Okay.
downtown Manhattan, and she was trying to sell it, and she couldn't sell it.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to buy anything down there, and it was an absolutely amazing home overlooking, the river and everything. It was amazing. Okay,
That's nice.
So she tried to sell it for 6 months, couldn't get a nibble. They were giving her like $200,000-$300,000 less than what she
Yeah.
wanted. She asked me to come in and do a space clearing. Okay, I go there, I do a whole space clearing. 3 weeks later, it sold for $300,000 over what she was asking for it, just because we did a space clearing, getting rid of all that negative
That
energy. that was
energy.
there.
Yeah.
Did she cut you in?
Everything is
No, She's my
energy.
mentor. I'd do anything for free for her.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
People always say when they come in my house that they feel such peace, and that's because I clear it every day.
It's important to do that.
Yes.
And it's so simple to do. I mean, you could do it in 10 minutes, so
Yep.
it's not a hard thing to do.
Nope.
They clear it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Where's your monster story?
Monster? Well, the biggest monster.
It's Halloween season. We call them monsters.
See, I don't. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's not monster. I mean, it's
Spooks?
just that I have a lot. Well, no. I mean, I'm always still connected with my family. And every day, I'm doing readings for people in my office and I'm connecting with spirit. But recently, unfortunately, I had lost a very close friend of mine. And
Oh, yeah. I know.
yeah, and what happened was we had been lifelong friends. She had promised, we had made a pact that, if whoever leaves, that we were going to connect with each other. What happened was the day that I found out from her son that she had actually passed, I go home that night, and all of a sudden, the lights are going crazy, and all kinds of things are happening in my house. My dogs are going crazy, and I was alone. I was home alone, and I wasn't frightened, but it just got, okay, I know you're there. Thank you for letting me know. Now we filled our pact, but so that just happened recently. That just happened a couple of weeks ago. And but the thing is that, it's amazing. And it's just amazing because it was actually in writing, the pact that we had made. And I took a look at that today. And by mistake, I didn't mean to see it, but I think that I was supposed to see it, that she had brought that up again to me in 2010, and so now it's just recent.
Spirit
You
will
knew
give
this.
you messages in different ways. My
Yeah,
best
all
friend,
the time.
I have a very small handful of best friends.
Yeah, me too.
One of them was my friend Greg, and he passed away, a little more than a year ago. And he always used to tell me, we need to live like we're dying. We need to live like we're dying. And we did. We went to Costa Rica together. We did so many adventurous things together. We lived like we were dying always.
I
When
believe in that.
He was in the hospital and he was not well. And I knew he was going to go soon. I didn't know when. All of a sudden, the night before, Spirit comes to me. I was outside in my yard. I was smoking my cigar. And they said, you got to go see Greg tomorrow. It's important. I said, okay. It was 9 o'clock at night. I had 4 readings in the morning. I inboxed all of them. I told them I cannot make this reading. I need to reschedule. And I did. Morning, I get to the hospital out in New Jersey. It was almost a 3-hour drive for me to get there. I get there, and he's dying. As I get there, he's dying.
He's waiting for you to
His whole
pass.
family is there, and here's
He
the
was
crazy
waiting.
thing. So I did healing with him for a little while to, soothe him and whatnot. This is the crazy part. So now he's crashing, and they're trying to save him. And his wife, his 3 daughters, and his sister-in-law, who were 5 of the most amazing women, they're over there. He's on his table here, and I'm on this side. I see him come out of his body. He looks at me, and he goes back in. I look at them. I said, he's got this. He's got this. Comes out of his body a second time, looks at me, goes back in. I'm like, oh, my God, he's going to do this. And they're like, please, you got to fight. You got to fight. Comes out a third time, looks at me, and he goes like this. And he disappeared. I looked at him. I went, no, he's gone.
He's gone.
And that was it. He was dead.
testing
And
it.
that really messed me up. So now
Yeah.
I was all screwed up because, like I said, he was a couple years older than me. He was my brother. I love this man, okay? And I was driving home, and I was so depressed. And what comes on the radio? Live life like you're dying.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, my God. Let me tell you.
Tell me that's not a sign.
Let me tell you.
That's a definite
Definitely.
sign.
All the time, the signs with the songs, right?
songs
A lot
and
of
the
things.
numbers and the, oh my goodness. But look, with the work that we do, okay, we deal with this all the time. But when it's somebody close like that,
Yes.
like what happened with your
He was my closest friend in the world, and
Yeah,
when that song came on, and here's,
Yeah.
there's a little bit more to the story. I don't remember the exact words, but he basically told me, because I'm not a crier, okay, I'm not a very emotional person, but I was kind of crying in the car, and he's like. I don't want to say what he said to me. He was, he called me the B word, and
Stop
he
being a
said,
little-
he said, "Come on, man up." He says, "You know, you have a direct line to me whenever you want me," and he was trying to make me feel good.
Oh my goodness. Do you know, thank you. You just gave me a confirmation there because like I told you, I found that note and it was today and I didn't expect to. Actually, from 2010.
This
I
is
wasn't
just-
looking for it.
No, but
Okay,
these-
what it said in there, I'm sorry,
Go, go,
I
go.
gotta tell Chris, what it said in there part of it was a whole long note about this. Whoever, and don't worry, you know that I'll always let you know that I'm there. I will always be there, and I'll always let you know. And it was just like what you, and man, let me tell you, the music, and then that's a confirmation what you just said to me from what I'm telling you. I know, even though I do this work every day for other people, it's a
when it
lot
happens for you,
different.
it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little bit different. You know, the hard part for me is we did a lot of psychic stuff together. He's been to so many of my healing circles, and he's been to more seances with me than anybody. I mean, he was there. His wife was there, and you know, in the year he's been gone, he came to me only one time, and I'm like, I'm the direct link. I mean, I'm the guy.
Yeah,
I'm the guy
right.
everyone comes to. I mean, why aren't you coming? And it drives me crazy.
He's going to Sylvia Brown. He's got somebody on the other side.
He doesn't have nobody on this side. He has me. And I'm still waiting for him to come. And it drives me crazy because I told his wife and his three daughters, I said, when he comes, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to let you know what's going on. And he still hasn't come.
Huh. Well,
I'm
maybe
waiting.
he's in a healing thing or moving on to another space, you know.
Yeah.
Have you, I've discovered, and you probably all know it too, that when there's a funeral, if you're there, usually the spirit stays to see
Absolutely.
who's coming
Absolutely.
to there, who loves them,
100%
who doesn't.
100% true.
Yeah.
I usually scan the room and find them, you know.
Yeah.
My
Usually to me, they're
ex-father-in-law
in the
told
back.
me, I'm not happy with my nose.
Oh, yeah.
He told me I am not happy with my nose.
Well, what did he want you to do?
It was crooked or whatever.
Oh.
And I was like, hey, listen, Pa, I can't, I'm not fixing your nose. True story.
Yeah, but it's the truth. They're
wait, when he
always
was,
there.
When he was in the
In the
casket.
casket.
And he's standing there and he's talking to me, and I was married at the time, and she's like, what's he saying? I'm like, he's pissed off about his nose. I didn't
That's
know what
really
to tell
funny.
her. It's the
Yeah,
truth.
that's funny.
He had to be vain even in the box.
Yeah.
You know? That's it. You know,
I'll tell you, right?
it's funny stuff. You know, I go into the funeral parlors. We have a lot of accounts with them. And I walk in there, and sometimes they're there. You know, the body's there and stuff like that. I said, I pass them. Right then and there. I said to them, "Oh, time to go." You know, and that's it. They wanted to spend their time there to see who comes to see them,
That's
Right,
true. They do.
right.
which is the funniest thing, you know? The heck do you care who comes to see you? You're gone.
Yeah,
When-
right.
When,
you know
my father passed, you know, we used to make a joke. Me and my brother, who is my closest friend, other than my son, and we used to joke at the dinner table, who's going to do Dad's eulogy, and he was still alive. And he'd get so pissed off at us because we'd be talking about who's going to give his eulogy when he died.
Yeah.
It's going to be me, it's going to be me. Well, when my father passed, neither one of us wanted to do it. We were two big babies. All right. We decided to do it together. And this is a true story. So I'm up there in St. Rita's Church, and somebody was there that my father absolutely despised. Despised this person. All right? And this person was not a good person, never was nice to my father or anything. And my father told him he's got to go.
Oh,
Did he
boy.
make you make him
Did you
leave?
do
Yeah.
it?
I said, well, those of you who know me know I am psychic medium Chris George. I want to let you know my dad is standing right here next to me. And you in that row right there in the corner, you got to go. I said, my father doesn't want you here. You got to go.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
What did he do? I guess he just left.
He got up and
Yeah.
he walked out.
Well, let's face facts. What were you going to do? You
I
had
was
to
gonna-
do
I
it.
was going to honor my father.
That's
so
right.
Sure.
Damn right.
That's right. There you go.
I got some guff over that, but I didn't care.
Nah.
Oh no, of course not.
When
course
they
not.
talk to you, or it's a guide talking to you. My guide, one of my guides, and she knows, is Edgar Bergen. Now, back in the days when he was a puppeteer there and all that stuff, he couldn't say the things he says now.
Right.
You got to hear what he says now.
Oh, he can be quite vulgar.
Oh my
He can
God.
be quite
He
vulgar.
comes to me. He's talking to me. I'm talking to her. I said, I can't tell her that. You know, it's embarrassing stuff he would say. And that's what I'm saying. The spirit it was your father this time. Can't he would have told you, don't throw his ass out.
Well, it's interesting you say you can't say that. So a lot of you know that I got my start doing this by doing seances. That was what I used to do. That's how I started. I would have every Saturday night was seance night at Chris's house. All right. So I was doing a seance for my daughter's dance teachers.
I scared the
Right.
hell out of him.
So now there are things I will never say to somebody because I'm not disrespectful. I will never ever say something really bad to somebody, like to hurt them or embarrass them ever. Okay, but when I'm in trance, that's a whole different story because I have no control
filter.
over that.
Oh, I
filter.
can imagine
So
this now.
now there's like 10 people at this, guys, girls, all dance instructors and whatever, all young in their 20s, I guess. And I said, in trance, I said, I know what you did last night. And she says, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. She says, well, I said, but I'm not going to say it. Now, I don't remember this. I just remember what they told me and when I watched the video afterwards. I said, you slept with somebody last night. And she goes, you don't know who? I said, yes, I do. It was her.
Oh my God.
I would never, ever say something like that.
Wow.
But I did, and I was right.
Wow.
And I was right.
Well, that was the end of that marriage.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
Wow.
God.
Oh,
That's why-
boy.
Yeah, when I do a seance, it's no holds barred because I don't know what I'm going to say.
What do you think about these seances where they put water in the person's mouth and then they find a handprint or something or something's moved and they're channeling? I mean, I
Water
just
in
don't.
their mouth?
Yeah, so that
You're
they're
talking.
not talking.
I don't know if you're talking about ectoplasm. That's a bunch of baloney.
I mean, I read about
so
this
many
one person who
charlatans.
has people come in that does that, and I get creepy feelings about
Nah, I
it.
think
That's a snake
I think
oil
it's, I think it's
salesman.
baloney, and you're right. There's a lot of frauds out there, a lot of fakes, a lot of frauds, a lot of charlatans.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be careful who you go to. There are not
Yeah.
many true trance channels out there.
Yeah.
So
We've got 10 minutes. The lady has 2 hands.
What do you think about the table tipping I've heard about? Now, I've never been to a table
You
tipping.
No, I heard
but I've
that's
just
heard about
read
that.
my mind because I've done that. I told you
yeah?
that. Remember, Karen and I were going to do it.
Oh, yeah, we did talk
years
about
ago
that
we
years
talked
ago.
about it, and then Karen moved away.
Yeah.
Have you
Table-
ever done the table
one
tipping?
of my closest friends, that's the one thing that he really wants to try. I've seen it done.
done it.
It didn't. It just doesn't resonate with me. I'm
Me
sorry.
either.
Well,
Doesn't resonate
I
with me.
don't do it regularly, but I was in Pennsylvania at
No, I'm
my
not saying it's not
girlfriend's
real.
shop.
I'm just saying it doesn't
and
resonate
She
with
was
me.
having a workshop, and we did it together, and it was amazing. It just ran right across the table. Her and I were. It just
across the
ran. The table ran across the room.
Oh, all right. I thought you take the
Yeah.
table, ran across the
Yeah,
table.
and
That's a pretty good
I've
trick.
done it, but I don't do that anymore. I don't need to.
That's spooky.
I don't need to do
Well,
that.
There's so many
basically,
different divination tools that
Yeah,
you can use.
I
You
don't-
can use a pendulum, although a lot of people don't use a pendulum the right way. That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother thing.
But,
To be real careful with
and
that.
divining rods.
Yes,
you know what I found the
love
other day?
Dallas- I should have brought them with me because we could have done it right here on the show.
You know what I-
have
you know what I
100
found?
pair.
I found a book that it had those things and it had a pendulum and this, that. I found it. The lady had it in her house and she was moving to Colorado. I said, give me the thing. I'll get rid of that thing the right way. Okay? It's in my truck the longest time. I find a book the other day. I'm cleaning out my truck. Uri Geller. I said, Uri Geller.
Oh, yeah,
How to
yeah,
use
yeah.
how to use the pendulum and dividing rods. I go, "Ting," right to go.
Well, I personally love dowsing rods. Listen, can they be manipulated? Absolutely, the same way a pendulum can. But when you do it the right way, it could be absolutely awesome.
But that's the whole thing.
That's the
do
whole
it the
thing.
right way.
The next time, should I come back on the show, I will bring the dowsing rods. I'll show you the proper way to use it, and we will answer questions with the dowsing rods on the show if you like.
You can't find water.
That would be fun.
You can find water with them. That's what
yeah,
they're made for.
That's
in
what
the
they're
beginning.
made for,
Yeah.
right?
Well, see if you can find a case of beer somewhere.
I played
I'm
with
more,
that.
I'm more of a Scotch guy.
One
All right,
time.
find a scotch.
Yeah.
I don't drink with you anything.
Yeah. Mary, you know what I was just thinking with the table tipping when you said it ran across the floor? I was
Yeah.
thinking about the
Ran
Ouija
across.
board. Did you ever try them
Yeah,
when you were
yeah, that's
younger?
true.
And they move real quick and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, the table tipping is just a larger thing of that.
Yeah,
The
it was.
Can I talk about the Ouija board?
unbelievable.
Porthole.
So
Oh, yeah.
I've done shows on them and whatnot. So the thing with the Ouija board is, can it work? Absolutely. Is it a toy? Yeah, it's a toy, but it's a toy that can be used as a divination tool. And when
Right.
used properly, it can give you answers. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
All right?
that's.
And this is something I've talked about many, many times on my own show. There's a thing called progressive entrapment, okay? When a lot of times people will use it by themselves.
Yep.
First, number one mistake, don't ever use it by yourself. Because then what happens is you might connect with a spirit. and they'll be giving you all these answers, and then you become friends with this spirit. Then what happens? You start protecting yourself, you open yourself up a little bit more, and what happens, it progressively attaches.
Exactly.
Until you get a full-blown
That's right.
possession. Now, I said earlier, I've done 103 spirit removals in my life, okay? I'm gonna say 6, I think, were directly linked to Ouija board.
Ouija
To
board.
a
Wow.
Ouija board.
You cannot
And
do it by
kids
yourself.
play with the
Yeah.
Ouija
I'm telling you,
board.
I was once again in another house, and I'm doing what I got to do, and I see in the closet, and there's a Ouija board, and I said to the mother, I said, "Get that thing and get it out of here."
Yeah.
My mother made me throw it away too, but here's the thing. I have no problem using it if I'm there, but I don't want my kids using it. I don't want,
No.
It
if
can be
I'm there-
dangerous,
If
yeah.
I'm there, because I know what I'm doing, I know how to protect myself, how to protect the people. I know what's good and what's bad. So it's a little bit different. But for those of you who use it by yourself, I'm telling you right now, stop.
Don't
Yeah.
play. Listen.
Or you'll be calling me to get a spirit removed.
Don't.
Thank you for saying
Don't play with
that.
things you don't understand.
thank
Don't play
you.
with things that you don't understand. You have no
That
knowledge
really
of it.
bothers me.
Because you open up a porthole, and you might have an uninvited guest that's going to attach to you and make you miserable. So don't you do that.
That's just
Okay.
like that woman who wanted to have people come in that was a novice.
And you know what's going to happen to her?
She's going to have real trouble.
That's right. She's going to get some.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary that then she's.
Can I bring something up? Because I feel like this is something people need to hear. Because we're talking about hauntings and stuff like that. I mean, how many times, or how many people out there have been sleeping and then they can't move and they feel like.
That happens
Oh,
to
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Now, listen, it could be sleep paralysis, which is the first thing that people will think it is. Sleep paralysis is a real thing. But a lot of times it could be spirit. Now, when a spirit is attacking you when you're sleeping, what's your first instinct? To fight, right?
Yeah.
That's absolutely the worst thing you could do. And I'm going to tell you why. A spirit can only attack you for so long. It only has so much energy. And if you're fighting it, it's recirculating.
Huh.
Okay? And it prolongs the attack. What you do is you lay there, you just breathe. You can't move, but there's always one thing you can move when you can't move. And you'll figure this out if you do it. Your tongue. You make the sign of the cross 3 times with your tongue and say, "Please release me in the name of Jesus Christ." And I guarantee you,
And
it's going to
what hap-
end you like that.
That's
know
what
what-
happened to me in my house, okay? When I got older, my brother moved out. I got his room, which had the bathroom in it and everything. So it was nice, big closet, okay? And I was in my bed, and next thing I know, I can't move, okay? And I wake up, but I see something, all right? And it was about as far as from here to where Chris is. And it was it wasn't human.
Okay?
And I'm looking at this thing, and I said, "Oh my!" And I can't move, and I'm trying to scream, I'm trying to roll over, force myself to
Did
fall.
you notice if you can move your tongue?
Well, here's what happened. I started praying to Jesus to come and save me. All right, and in a matter of like seconds, I felt the release, and then I was all right. Then I got up, like, what the? And I'm looking around, I'm looking at the closet because that's where I saw him.
Yeah, but lots of times people get that sensation if they've been doing astral flight. And they're
Well, a lot
not
of people do
completely
it without
back
even
in the
realizing
body.
they're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's what I'm
But-
saying, and they're not completely
But
back in their
please,
body
if
yet.
anybody feels like they're being held down, listen to what I'm telling
yeah,
you.
held
Make-
down,
Make
yeah.
the sign of the cross 3 times in your mouth. I promise you. And don't fight. If you fight, you're making a mistake.
You know, that actually
Don't
happened
empower
to
this
me.
Good
demon.
that you
or
said that.
That
whatever it
happened to
is.
me. I was in bed one night, and I felt the spirit land on me, and it was black, and it reminded me of those dark things in the Harry Potter movies. Like it had that ragged thing.
The shadow people.
Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it. Anyway,
people.
of course, it freaked me out. I couldn't move. And I remember screaming in my mind, Jesus! And he came in and it was gone, right? So I said, how could that have happened to me? How could you allow that? You know what he said? He said, that's so you know that nothing can ever hurt you.
All right.
Bingo.
With that said, we have about 2 minutes left. So any final shots across the bow?
This is what I love talking about. Anything spirit related, crystal, gemstones, anything metaphysical. I just love these round tables.
Well, this is why it's so valuable, because we have experience, and the people out there, they may have had some of these experiences, but no
Now
one
they're
to talk
explained.
to
Now
about
they're
it.
explained.
Yeah, now they're explained, and they can understand and
If,
feel more comfortable.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like more information on anything that Chris is going to be doing, or Mary's going to be doing, or Sis is going to be doing, and I'm always doing, so if you want any more information about that, our email address is at the end of the show on the credits. You can always reach us here at the studio, and we're coming down to it. We got 2 minutes. We got
2
this.
minutes.
Okay, we got this. What do you want to do?
minutes.
This?
I love that you said that because, when I had my radio show, what I loved most about it was that it was a safe place for people to talk about things that they can't talk about with their friends or their family because they think that they're crazy.
Right.
But then you come in this community where you have this space where people actually know what they're talking
That's
about.
right.
That's right.
And it's that information, and it's a safe place.
You knew
Yeah.
what I know. Back in the day, you said something like that to your friends. What happened to you?
Yeah, you were a freak. That's why I didn't
Well,
say
you
nothing
were
when I
that.
was a kid.
Back in the day, you used to be able to do things that wasn't a zillion cameras.
You know what? My mother and my grandmother, I found out years later, actually saw spaceships, and I had seen them. But that's what my mother said. She said you couldn't talk about it in those days. You couldn't talk about it.
No.
Well, that's
know?
the beauty about today. So when I first started out, I'm going to be 55. I was 9 years old. Back then, if
Fossil.
you're a 9-year-old seeing dead people, they put you in a straitjacket or they sent you to a psychiatrist. Today, they give you your own television show.
Or
Or
you
they
start.
randomize you.
Or you start in the Sixth
Family.
Sense.
Right, right.
My family wasn't like that.
No,
Give
she,
you a
she,
show.
she had a good family that
Yeah.
way. Anyway, we got 1 minute
that.
left. Let's thank our studio audience out there in TV land too. All right. Very happy that you all came tonight to come to see the show. Chris and Mary, you guys are always welcome here.
Thank you.
You know that.
Thank
so,
you very much.
and hopefully you'll take the course again, and then you'll come work on this show.
I'm ready. What do you think? Should I have my own show here again?
You
or what?
should. You
I
should. You
right?
should.
Maybe.
Yeah, you should. She's giving me the wind up.
Okay.
Remember the wind up, Chris, because you're going to see it a lot.
I'm gonna see it.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Happy
night.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.